If you're like me, you probably agree that the word peaceful is one of the best adjectives to describe a home. Contrary to popular minimalist images, creating a peaceful home isn't about being perfectly clean and shiny, owning matching containers and kitchenware. Rather, it's all about having the right mindset and adopting some simple habits. So, here are 8 of my favorite ways to create a peaceful haven at home. Minimize as much as you can. Although it's not about being a bare-bone minimalist, it is much easier to create a peaceful environment when you own less stuff. You wouldn't be spending 20 minutes unloading your dishwasher and playing puzzle with your container pieces if you don't have so many sets of dining ware. You don't need to do laundry for 4 sets of bed linen if you only have one. I know this because I've done all the above growing up, and I know it's not fun nor necessary. Everything you own represents an extra activity that you have to take out the time to do. You have to use the item, then clean it, then take care of it and store it, which is why people say the more stuff you own, the more they begin to own you, because they end up owning all of your time and energy. So, the best way to start a journey of simplifying your home is just by minimizing your stuff. If you're a beginner, start by clearing out the obvious junk. Take out the trash, the things broken beyond repair, things you never use or touch, or things that you don't even know what they are anymore. If you've already been decluttering, then make sure you're slowing down your consumption and you're not bringing in more junk into your home. Put everything back to their home. I'm super thankful that my parents hammered this habit into me when I was younger because it makes organizing a home so effortless. Basically, everything you own, from your clothes and shoes to your keys to an extra set of battery, should have a specific place to be stored at, a place that you need to return them to after you finish using them, so that they're not just floating randomly in your home and cluttering up your space. It only takes a few seconds to put things back into a drawer when you finish using them, and not only would you not need to set aside extra time to organize things, but you'd also have an easier time searching for them when you need them again. To me, right now, an activity is just not completed, and I can't move on to the next thing if I haven't put back everything I used for the first activity. The best part is that this is not a difficult habit to pick up. As someone who learned this, I promise you it takes a few seconds and I don't even think about it anymore. If you find that some of your stuff don't have a space to go back to, it might be a signal that you own too much stuff and it's time to start decluttering. Keep your surfaces cleared. This tip is another minimalist classic, but I want to repeat it here because it's one of the most helpful tips to creating a peaceful space. Here, by surfaces, I'm not only talking about tables and counters, but also places like couches, beds, floors, and even walls. When these large surface spaces are filled with stuff, they create a lot of visual clutter and noise. On the other hand, when they're cleared, they can bring an immediate sense of calm and tranquility to a room. Also, when your surfaces are filled with stuff, it physically encumbers you and discourages you from carrying out some of your daily activities. Have you ever felt too lazy to vacuum because your floors are dotted with random things like toys, shoes, rugs, chairs? Or like, I'm just so much more motivated to prep and cook food when my kitchen counter is not filled with appliances but is cleared for me to work with. There are so many examples of this where having cleared surfaces not only give you a sense of orderliness, but also a sense of motivation and freedom to do the things you want to. Handle everything gently. When I was little, my dad taught me this Chinese phrase, 轻拿轻放, which translates to picking up things and putting them down gently. In general, handling every object you own with gentleness, never slamming, cramming, or throwing things around. This was in response to my bad habit of opening and closing drawers really loudly, or when people slam doors or set down cups really loudly on a counter. Basically, all of these things are frowned upon in Chinese culture because not only do they lead to things breaking easily, but they also bring a lot of noise and clamor to your home. When someone slams a door or throws a mug into the sink, even if they don't do it intentionally, they produce a sound that clearly conveys anger and frustration. And it's just very hard to feel peaceful for other people hearing that. How you treat one thing is how you treat everything. So try developing this habit of handling things gently, and you might be surprised how much of a difference it makes. Allowing for space and emptiness. People are always surprised to see that I have empty drawers in my living room and kitchen. But to me, it feels natural to have empty spaces in your home. If you think about it, we're all born with nothing in this world, zero objects. So how could we get to a point where we own so much stuff that our entire home is filled up? We are living organisms, which means that more than stuff, we need space to breathe, to move around in, and to do activities in. When we have ample space, we naturally feel more relaxed and calm. So I invite you to try this. Intentionally protect some empty space in your home, whether if it's a bigger area room, an empty drawer, a couch with no cushions, or an empty corner. Try your best to leave that space empty and not fill it up with anything. Every time you see that space, you'll experience a sense of calm and liberation. More than that, you'll even feel a sense of extra capacity because it sends you a message that you're in control and you have a good handle of whatever it is in your life. Allow elements of nature. To continue with the previous point, we are living organisms and we just naturally feel better when we are interacting with nature. When we're in close contact with plants, animals, fresh air, or greenery, so we can try to incorporate some of these elements into our homes. It can be as simple as just opening the shades to let in sunlight, or opening the window to allow in some fresh breeze and air. Or if you like plants, then of course a potted plant or fresh flowers. A little bit can go a long way. In Asia, we love using the material wood in our homes. From floors to counters to furnitures to curtains or even cooking appliances. In the summer, we put down bamboo mats on our couches and beds or just set them on the floor and sit on them. They cool us down and also they make us feel like we're more grounded and closer to nature. Allow for stillness and silence. This is one that I struggle with sometimes since I can be a junkie when it comes to consuming media. I just love a good podcast, music in the background, or YouTube videos. Sometimes, even when I'm painting or cooking, I feel the need to listen to something. Otherwise, I feel like I'm wasting my auditory sense. But every time I do paint in silence, I always end up feeling more peaceful. The silence helps me a lot in clarifying my own thoughts or just quieting the noise within me. So yes, this is definitely an essential tip to creating a peaceful home, is to allow some time for absolute silence and stillness. It might be harder to achieve if you have a busier household or if you have young children, but try designating a certain hour of your day where everyone agrees to stop making noises or slow down what they're doing. Or finding a peaceful corner in your home where you can just sit, do nothing, and be a little bit separate from everyone else. Maintain a peaceful mindset. Lastly, but essentially, to keep a peaceful home, you need to have an easy and peaceful mindset. You probably have experienced this before, but even if one person in a household is feeling tense or frustrated, everyone else is on edge and no one can feel calm. So when you walk in your door, when you put your hands on that doorknob, remind yourself that you're entering a space where you should feel more calm. You're safe and sheltered from the outside world and the difficulties of the day. So don't allow other small distractions to easily mess up your calm, whether it be chores, your kids, or some random to-dos. If you have trouble with this, try practicing intentional breathing exercises or even short meditation sessions. I find those to be super helpful. Remember, not everything has to be perfect in your home. Just relax, do the things you love, and do them slowly. Everyone deserves to have a physical place they can go to for a sense of peace and relaxation. And I want to remind you that you have the power to create that space for yourself and your family. I hope you found this episode interesting and helpful. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a peaceful rest of the day. Bye.